Noelle, what would you say now that you've got this experience and you know what it takes? And you said some people are it's in their DNA, others not. Are there can this be learned to be successful? And what advice would you give? Let's say Sherry wants to go to from I say Sherry because she's a colleague of Noelle's who's, Noelle, when we're traveling, will she has a Sherry alter ego. And so there's Sherry with that strong Boston accent and the can do, will do, take no prisoners attitude. But if she were going to become a remote worker and not at the mothership, I mean, what advice would you give her about how to be
Well,
successful at it?
well, Sherry is the best example. She's fantastic remote, so we can't use her. But
Okay.
I mean, I think can it be learned? Absolutely. But I think it's not like a skill set that you can acquire. It's not like I don't know, like a sport that you can practice and you get better at it. I think all it really comes down to is drive. It is, are you like, are you willing to put in the time? Are you willing to shut off your distractions or whatnot? How seriously are you taking your career? And I think a lot of people who are just starting in their career is, I think, a very good sort of pusher to let people have that drive. Because for me, I don't care where I'm at, what I'm doing. I could be on the beach in Hawaii and I'm still going to be working because that's what I, want to do with my career. I think it's just a mindset and you have to flip it on. And then if you are in go mode, that's you can do anything if that's your mentality. I think it does, obviously, if you're going from only office to fully remote, there are things obviously that you can practice and get better at, but I don't think it's something that you just all of a sudden can't just turn it on and say, yep, make the decision to do this.
So fair to say you got to be passionate about what you've chosen to do. If you're doing it just for the paycheck, it's I could imagine it's a very disruptive lifestyle
Yeah.
if you don't love what you're doing.
Yeah. If I'm, so there was, I forget who told it to me years ago, but I think it was actually our owner, Bill Nixon. He was saying they're in every company, they're the 9 to 5ers. And and it is what it is. And those people come in, they clock in from 9, they clock out at 5, they do their work, they go home, they shut it off, and that's it. And then there are the people that I don't know the term, but it was, people who are going to go that extra mile, who are either in the office earlier, they're doing something outside of the office or whatnot. And the drivers, I guess, are the ones that a company can't survive without both, I think. You've got to have people who are coming in, just clocking in, doing the work. And those typically are the people that the job is a paycheck, and that's okay. And then you're going to have other people, hopefully, that I'm not just doing this for a paycheck. Like, I'm really passionate about what I do, and that shows in how I work. And I think it would be very difficult for the 9 to 5ers to work remotely, possibly, just because there might be other things that I'm really passionate about. The Rockies are playing a baseball game. I really want to go to that game. It's a lot more tempting versus someone that is fully immersed in their career that I'm like, I want to do whatever I can. It's a lot easier to shut out any other distractions. So I
Have you
think
have
it's
you have you gotten to a place where you can give yourself permission to go shopping on a Tuesday afternoon or to catch the Rockies game because of the effort that you put in weekends, evenings, early mornings, all of
it's
that?
that to me is more of a learned thing. I'm really working on
It
that.
is.
And
Yeah.
I I do work very, very hard, like a lot of people in our industry. I don't have normal hours. I work on weekends. I'll travel for 2 weeks straight, and giving myself the opportunity to just breathe. Like you were actually mentioning, we're kind of going into that summer, not lull, but it feels like I was saying earlier to a colleague, it feels like a pre-pandemic July. Notoriously for us, July was
Yeah, yeah,
always fairly slow, to the point
yeah.
when I first started, I was like, I'm going to get fired. I don't have anything to do. And I remember someone at that point had told me, take take this and enjoy it, because it helps balance out the Aprils and the Octobers and the time where you're barely on the verge of burnout. So for me, I've had to allow myself to breathe, and if I need to, so like say I just flew back on Friday. Actually, I did. I flew back on Friday, and I was here in the morning, and I realized I didn't have any groceries. I have zero food. I could go home and start working, or is the world going to end if I just got done doing 10 days straight? Is the world going to end for an hour if I go get food for myself? No. And that sounds ridiculous, but that is one of the things that,
Yeah.
that's where I have to learn is I have to learn that balance of it's okay to, just because it's a Tuesday and you just traveled for 10 days straight and worked 20-hour days, that it's okay to do some things that you need to do for yourself. I think the mental and physical and I think emotional state of remote employees has to be focused on a lot more, I think, because I have to make sure that I'm taking care of myself. How am I feeling mentally? And that sort of plays into, my managers when they call me, they say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I'll start going through projects and they're like, "No, no, no, no. How are you?" Those are things that I think are very important for remote employees, because it's very easy to either become extremely robotic with I'm just going to work, 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 and I can't turn it off, and I don't know how to function without it, to the opposite side where, oh, well, I don't need to do anything, like it's fine. So I think there's a fine line that you have to really hone in on.
Noelle, did you have that same sentiment and feeling about your work before the pandemic when you were remote, or was that more of a byproduct of the pandemic, you think?
I've honestly, I think I was worse before the pandemic to a certain extent.
Okay.
I really and I was young and I really wanted to, like I was saying, make a career. So I dove in head first. I told my team, send me anywhere, everywhere. And the account that I was managing was a very large one that had a lot of issues that I just didn't even know because I didn't know any better. And I felt this personal responsibility to take on everything and fix it and make it better. And so for me, I worked, crazy, and I was traveling, I think 80% of the year at one point. Like it was wild. Now, during the pandemic, I felt that same drive, but more so out of a personal, I need to keep my job versus I really want to grow my
Right.
career. And I think after the pandemic, I've been really lucky that I've kind of seen both of those realms, and I think I'm finally starting to find that middle ground of I'm still very driven. I'm still, I still want to do the best and everything, and I always want to learn, but I am a human being too.